and you know what it is. You know Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego too. This is Paul and Rupert.
We're back!
Coming out with a brand new thought, covered under the blood in which we were born. So we know how to get to.
Is for bold, A is for active, D is for determined. When you consider King David's valiant, you have an idea and understanding of taking this. Stay tuned.
Hallelujah, revive us again.
We are excited to bring fresh commentary, good conversation with two bad men. Boy, you don't want to miss this. Bad Man for Christ. Join us.
Stands for determined, just like Peter when he did his first sermon. As the saying goes, bad men for Christ. That is how we'll be for the rest of our life. Sit back, relax, and enjoy our show because we're stuck in the house with nowhere to go.
Hey.
Oh my goodness. Another wonderful Monday.
Tell you, beautiful Monday here in New Jersey. And we are so glad that we are another Bad Man for Christ show, the Bad Man Show with two bad men. Join us. What's going on, Bishop? How you doing?
I'm doing good. And again, let me say, we invite you to like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube so that you will not miss not even a second. When the show gets started, you will be alerted to just click and come on in. And so we are thankful for all of you that have come on to join us on this evening.
And spread the word to your family, to your friends, to your enemies. Let them know that the Bad Man Show was a show they don't want to miss. And remember this, God loves you. All right. All right.
Yes. I had a wonderful weekend. I have to say it was a blessing. Of course, us being ministers in the church, you know, we have the privilege of serving the Lord's people. And so, you know, we have to give a shout out every so often, thanking God for that privilege. And we had a wonderful time on Sunday, the blessings, and we're truly thankful for what God is doing. How about you?
Yeah, same here, man. We had an awesome service on Sunday. The atmosphere was great. We were blessed to be able to baptize 2 new people. That was just awesome. That just made the day even greater. It was a brother who came on the invite of one of his co-workers and one of our deacons. He didn't come for a while. The Spirit told him to come one Sunday. He's been coming every Sunday. Then one Sunday, we came one Sunday. The next Sunday, he brought his son. Then another Sunday, he brought his son again. Then he brought his wife last week. And then this week, they're all there. And the wife and the son said, we want to be baptized in Jesus' name. And I'm telling you, God is good. We just had a wonderful time. The water was cold. The water was real cold, but we had a wonderful time. So it was great. It was great.
That's beautiful. It's always great to hear when someone comes into the family of the Lord. It's just great. Well, I see that both you and Deacon Albert are I got mine right here. I'm trying to get it right here. It's right here.
Just let some people know about some of the stuff they can have on their heads and on their chest too. Just let you know, we'll get to that. All right, so we'll get to that. So, Bishop, what is on store for our crowd today? You already told me you got a great opening, so I'm just going to sit back, relax, and let you do this opening.
You see, the opening was designed for you not being here. So there was a part of the opening that said, listening audience, I just want to lean in to tell you how much I appreciate you over these 2 years. And I have this show all by myself. And there's some things I wanted to say to you that since the overseer is not here at this present time, but we're expecting him to come on in. But of course, he blew it. Uh, so what I wanted to, this is dear to me, and my brother shared a video segment from CBS magazine 60 Minutes, where the host had a professor to come on and speak to racism and health. And it was a tremendous presentation. And so I wanted to take this evening to address our listening audience, both people who look like me and people who don't look like me, because we live in a world. We don't we are a part of this. They're part of this system, and what affects one affects the other. It might not seem like it affects you, but it does. And so what I want to talk about today, there's a system. It's been categorized or labeled as weathering, but I want to start off the discussion by saying about 40 years ago, Dr. Elijah Saunders, and I want to mention that because he is the nephew of our presiding prelate. That's our presiding prelate. That's apostle. Apostle Monroe Andre Saunders is senior. I'm not talking about our current presiding prelate, Bishop Monroe Saunders Jr. Talking about the apostle. And so he was an advocate over 40 years, bringing to light the impact of hypertension, of how it's a silent killer amongst African American. So 40 years ago, he said at that time, 38% of African Americans are affected with hypertension compared to only 29% within the white population. And one of the things that he did during his tenure to fight against and to bring awareness to the impact of hypertension, high blood pressure within our communities, he created what was called Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield program. And what this program did, it provided blood pressure instruments for barbershops and also for beauty salon, where the proprietors will take the blood pressures of their patrons. He started it in the church, but it was not as effective until he came up with the idea that there are significant of African Americans that frequent barbershops to catch up on sports in particular, because when I go to the barbershops, I hear a lot of that conversation and etc. And so he said African Americans suffer higher incidence of hypertension. And some of the factors that he noted 7, and I'm just going to quickly just list them off. He says racism, diet, heritage, stress, poverty, access to care, and sodium. And he went and extended his research to Jamaica and also England. And he found that Jamaicans, like African Americans, are salt sensitive. So he said the problems or the challenge also of hypertension is not only in America, but it affects Africans in different diaspora. But what the CBS program did, what they did, they interviewed a gentleman by the name of Dr. David Williams. And that segment was broadcast on April 15, 2021. And anyone who has Paramount Plus, you can actually go and visit and actually view that broadcast. Dr. Williams is a professor of health and the chair of the Department of Social and Behavioral Sciences at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. And he describes how the discrimination impacts long-term mental and physical health adversely. He compares the impact of racism on African American using this analogy. He uses this example. He said, imagine a jumbo jet with 200 black people flying off each day and crashing every single day. That simply means 200 African Americans die every day as a result of the impact of racial discrimination. They develop what is known as an everyday discrimination scale. And so, overseer, this is where I want the audience to engage us in conversations. I want to list the 9 aspects of the discrimination scale. And you and I, we can talk about a couple of them, and then we will reach out to the audience and ask them to share if they have experienced it, any of these as African Americans. And I know we have other race. I know that a couple of white folks that watch our program and listen to our program. So I also want to extend to them if they have observed it. For example, let me list some of them, and they will talk about it, and we'll have the conversation both ways. In number 1, he says, you are treated with less courtesy than other people. Number 2, you are treated with less respect than other people. Number 3, you receive poorer service than other people at restaurants or stores. Number 4, people act as if they think they are smarter than you. Number 5, people act as if they are afraid of you. Number 6, people act as if they think you are dishonest. Number 7, people act as if they are better than you are. Number 8, they call you names or insult, or they call you names or are insulted. No, you are called names or insulted. I'm sorry. You are treated. No, you are threatened or harassed. All right. So these are the 9 things, and we want to talk about them. Right. And we want to go. I think probably from maybe 1. That are maybe 1 or 2 I have not really they may have done this behind my back, but not necessarily in front of my face, but we'll get to that. So let me and you talk. You have any examples where people treat you where you're treated with less courtesy than other people?
Okay, so here is my problem. Before we get into this, here's my problem with this list. Some of these things African Americans do to African Americans, right? So I don't know if this list encompasses just the Caucasian or European American race versus the African American race, or is this people? Because I think you said this is the everyday discrimination scale. It doesn't say it's the white everyday discrimination scale. It just says it's the everyday discrimination scale. So I'm thinking that David Williams is saying this is just discrimination, whether it's white to black or black. I'm not sure, but that's one thing. Okay, so have I been treated with less courtesy than other people? Of course. Of course.
Give me an example. Give me an example and give me your reaction, because I want to see if you react different than I do. That's what I want to. Yeah, give me your reaction. All right.
I think it all depends on what the action was, right? So what happened? Because it's more than one. So, but I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
So I'll
Right.
give you one example. So I'm at a store. I'm buying something. I asked a simple question to the person at the register. I say, you know, I looked back there, and this was supposed to be, you know, a buy two get one free, and I noticed that I got rung up for all three of them, same price. The person said, well, then that must just be the way that it is. That must be an old sign. And I was like, okay. I was like, it's not an old sign because it's still out there. So either you need to find out if that's right, or get me somebody else to price it. The person was was not courteous at all. Ended up that a manager came over and said, no, he's correct. He said, no, she's correct. That should have been taken up, but that's our fault. We're going to charge you the 2 for 1. So get buy 2, get 1 free. So I said, thank you. The person helped me out. The person at the register probably looked at me and thought I was trying to get over because I'm a black man and I was trying to get something over. But I wasn't. It was just, now again, she could have just had a bad attitude for everybody. I don't know, but she was not courteous to me. And I quickly equated to, okay, you saw a black guy here, Bob is asking you a simple question, trying to get a hookup, but I wasn't. So, but I acted calm. I just said, well, either the machine is wrong or the sign is wrong, but I'm not wrong. That's what I said. And I said, I need to get somebody who can help me out. And that's how I worked it. I was very calm. Now, there's other situations where I did not stay so calm. Like on the phone, I'm not so calm all the time because people try to take up your time and try to say goodbye and be nice, and they keep going. So, but regardless. What about you?
So here's Mike. You're very nice. Okay, so in our town, there are 2 ice cream stores. There's one nearby me. Ice cream is okay. And there's one a little bit over into the kind of the whiter part of the community. Their ice cream is homemade, and there's a nice flavor to it. So
why is your ice cream nicer?
Maybe I don't know. Anyway, but it tastes different. So
right.
I frequent that white area of the store, and I go in, and so I go in, and I'm stopped, and in the store I'm waiting to be waited on. So I see one white couple comes in, and of course all of the proprietors are white, which is a violation of my rules, but I'll explain that later. So they served out that couple. I see another couple comes in, and they kind of know by name, like, hi, John, and they serve that, and I'm standing there. And I see the third person comes in and they serve. And I say, Brown, you need to make a decision here. I could make a big deal about this. So I said, you know what? All right, you don't want my money. I don't have to spend my money here. I've never gone back to that store.
Ah. So now, were you standing in line?
Yeah, well, it's the large counter, yeah. So I'm visible. I made and it's not because I'm short now, like you said. Oh, they couldn't see you because you were there. No, I was real tall about it. So, okay. But to feed upon that is in general. That was an exception because I do not, if at all possible, purchase at any store, any supermarket, whatever, where there's nobody working that looks like me.
So okay, but does that happen in a black-owned ice cream store where there's only one white person?
So, all right, so there's a black restaurant, right? And they're all black. In fact, they're Jamaicans.
No, can't go with Jamaicans. Can't do it. I'm a Jamaican. You're a Jamaican. You can't go that way. Jamaicans are prejudiced You know that too, so we can't go there.
Oh,
So
over
we
here.
get ourselves. We
You
don't.
told me you were Jamaican. All right. So our audience, that's one example, audience. We won't go on to number 2, but please, your questions. I want to engage you. I want you to hear what you got to say.
Yeah,
All right.
well, a long-time watcher and friend of ours, Simon Rollins, says this: being on soccer field in England, being the only mixed black person, I was a target for over-aggression, followed by an insult after the tackle, and I'm on the ground. That was frequent through the season. That happens a lot in soccer, especially in the world, larger even games. Racism was a big part of soccer, where they had to actually institute certain things in the soccer game. So if you were black, you were hit longer, hit harder, and calls weren't made. It even happened in basketball. When I was, playing basketball, even though basketball was known to be the black man's sport, well, when you're on court with a bunch of white guys and the referees are white, they tend to not give you the same calls that they would give some other people. And that happens, that's frequently. But I like to talk about this because this is interesting. Because the same day, I think you talked about David Williams. He talked about these 9 points. I was listening to something that he said, and he said that some of this stuff that happens, especially in the healthcare, because he was talking about in healthcare, he found that, or it was been found that doctors as a whole treated minorities not the same way as they treated Caucasians or people of the white race. They treated them with less I don't want to say integrity, but with less skill than they would with others. But he also found that those same people didn't do it on purpose. It was something innate that was in them subconsciously that drove them to do these things. So even with these 9 points that he gave, the question I may have, and I ask the audience, but ask you is, are some of these things, could they not be just subconscious done and the people aren't doing them on purpose? And if they're not doing them on purpose, can we blame them?
All right, so let's go to the healthcare. So I went in for a biopsy. I went in for a biopsy, right? And the physician, there was a white patient and myself. I decided to time how much time he spent with a white guy and how much time he spent with me. And I purposely was watching him intently. You know, when you zoom in on somebody and it's like you're trying to get to their spirit, and I'm just like zooming in on the guy. And about 10 minutes, he kind of probably felt it. He looked up and he saw my eyes, and I could see that there was something registered. And he wrapped up his conversation and he came over to have a similar conversation with me. But the fact, since I usually go into these medical stuff, I do my homework. I do a lot of research. So when he came over to talk to me about the process and the procedure that he's going to do, I have already spent hours Googling and reading. So, you follow what I'm saying? But the fact was, if I wasn't as read up and as prepared, he wouldn't have treated me like he did the other white stuff. So whether it's conscious or the fact that they have there's some kind of connection because they're the same race, that they are more of that affinity to talk, and it's maybe he has to overcome some type of internal programming to come to talk to somebody who is black. It's a possibility, but the fact it happens. And to jump on it, I go to Costco a lot, and I purposely watch how the attendants deal with the folks that they meet as they come, as they exit. and see if I'm gonna get the same type of, and I'll see when I get up, they hold their head down as if, or they have to count the items. The person who has a full cart, bulging over and stuff under the bottom, they just mark them to go. And I only got 6, and I got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm like, this guy just went through with about 100 items. You didn't even, and you go stop and purposely count my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 item. And so when they say, thank you so much, I don't respond. I just push my card straight.
I really just not lazy. They could be just
ain't gonna
lazy. They could be just lazy. So
what that?
But we as Daphne's Daphne's Brown, and we know who she is related to, Daphne's Brown. A study that was just released in New York, that Black women are 6 times more likely to die in childbirth.
Yes.
Yeah, that's totally possible. And again, there is a correlation between the tolerance or how to treat, and so many doctors have admitted that they are taught that Black minorities have higher tolerances, so we don't require the medications or pain relief. It is not okay whether it's purposeful or not. Now, I agree with her except for the last statement. It's not okay whether it's purposeful or not. I'm not saying about okay. I'm saying, can we blame them? Because I know that for instance, if I don't know something and I do it, you're not going to blame me, or you shouldn't blame me because I didn't know it. I didn't know. There are people who literally, the study by the gentleman said they did not know that they were doing certain things. Because if you're taught it, if I am taught that Rupert Johnson can take pain better than Joe Blow over here, and I am treating Rupert Johnson, then I'm being taught that Rupert Johnson doesn't need as much medication. Because you have to remember, over-medicating is as bad as under-medicating. So maybe it's not the person, maybe it's the educational system that needs to change to not teach certain things about African Americans or about Latino Americans or about Asian Americans, about the minorities. Just teach medicine.
When you go into a restaurant, Red and Lobster train their staff how to do waiting on their customers. Yeah. So therefore, you can't tell me you don't know. You were trained to be a waiter at Red Lobster. You were trained to be a waiter at this restaurant. So the fact that all of a sudden I'm getting poorer service than the one that you as a waiter, I see you greet the white table with a big old smile and how you doing and Johnny that, and when you come to our table, you clam up. No, that's not what they train you to be a waiter to do.
Hold on, bring Joe's. Let's bring Joe's back down. Cause I got a great point. Let's bring Joe's back down because he's actually in my face line. If you bring Joe's out, please, yeah. We'll bring him up in a second. So don't bring another one. Bring Joe's out, and we'll come to it in a second. Okay. So here's the thing. You said a great point. This is what Rupert Johnson does when he comes to a restaurant and he's not treated the same way he sees another table treated. Rupert Johnson says, "Hey, are you having a bad day?" No, I'm not. Oh, okay, so great. So you're going to give me the same service you're getting because I'm going to tip you. I'm going to tip you. And my tip is going to be based on how you serve us, and it includes the attitude.
Are you over here? You may have to bring Joe's down because producer is not bringing. Oh, I got another point. I'm not saying anything to no waiter because that waiter goes in the back and bring it out the food. I don't know what. Yeah. Okay.
No. Okay. See, right. I am going to hold. This is whether they're black or white. Okay. I'm going to hold the waiter accountable because his tip is accountable on what I do, and I will let them know, man. I've worked at a restaurant. I work at TGI Fridays. I know people go back there and you'll be talking and saying stuff. No, don't do that. I know. I know. So I just make sure that they understand that I don't care what kind of day they're having. I don't care. They're at work now. And I don't care what you think I look like. I don't care what you think I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I am going to give you based on what you do. That's what I'm going to give you. And the problem that I think a lot of us have is we do just take it and we walk away. That tip means a lot. And if you get bad service, show the tip and leave a note. I would have tipped you better, but your service wasn't adequate. Let them know. Because at the end of the day, there's somebody coming behind you. Another African-American, another Latino-American. And it's unfortunate that not only is it the way that your skin color is, but sometimes just how you dress. Because they equate dress with something. So if I come with my suit and tie and a black man, I sit down, they're going to treat me better if I'm a black man, I come in my hoodie and my sneakers. They're going to treat me differently. So that's the same thing. So it's two black men getting treated differently because of attire. My thing is I let people know, especially at restaurants, why I didn't tip them well. And I'll let them know, sometimes I'll let them know beforehand, because they need to know, because there's somebody coming behind me that looks like me.
All right, before you bring in those two questions or statement, let's take a minute and say thank you to our producers. We have working with us on this evening, Deacon Albert just working with us on this evening. Want to say thank you so much. And we also have Ken Walsh, and we want to recognize him. In addition to that, we also want to say to you that you can support us by purchasing any one of our t-shirts or any hoodies, we have a host of Badman apparels that are available for you to purchase. We'll be providing you an online link and service very shortly. But in the meantime, you can also reach out using Zelle and get yourself a hat similar to what Overseer Rupert is wearing, cups, glasses, and any of those items. And again, we truly appreciate you, truly appreciate your support, and we thank God for you. Also, we said that we're also reaching out for those who are interested to partner and work along with us on the Badman Show. Please reach out. We will gladly have you to be a part of our team. So we just wanted to make that known as well.
Now, as we go forward, I know I'm saying some things that are going to be ticking off some of my black brothers and sisters, and I want them to be ticked off because I want them to talk. So let's go forward and see what's out there. So this is Joe. Joe was saying, this is my brother Joe Patterson, all the way from Georgia. Joe watching from Georgia. I was in an elevator accident in 2017, 11:35 a.m. The elevator dropped 4 floors, and I got stuck in the elevator for, I guess that's an hour. I hope it's not for 15 hours. I didn't get no type of assistance, but my manager received help after hours. And he continues to say, I was treated unfair by the football stadium and the security when I was hurt. Yes, Joe, but I don't know, again, I don't know if that was because there was a manager who was a manager versus who weren't. And they could have been trying to get some juice. I don't know.
But Joe, I want to say this to you. Whether or not the fact that you were hurt, the point of this is discrimination affects health. It affects, and the more an African American are discriminated more than other races in America. That constitute for the poor health that we have: high blood pressure, diabetes, we have cardiovascular diseases, and mental health. And these things I want to bring to your attention is because of how people, as Overseer says, they may not know better, but the fact that they're doing it, it's still affecting you. So I wanted to make sure I bring this to your attention so that you can proactively start think about this. For example, when I work at Bell Labs, which was I was the it's predominantly white, white company, PhDs, all these bright white people that I work along with, and there were unwritten rules that they went by. Now, unbeknownst to me, where there were some of their activities would affect the health of African Americans. I used to do some things that I didn't even know that was really causing them stress. For example, I work in software development, and so I write code. And the testers and then the software, they will test the code. And the tester will come and says, "Oh, your code worked perfectly." And I say, "Oh yeah, I'm a genius. What do you expect? Did you expect to find an error? Did you expect to find a bug in my code?" Or they will come and say, "Oh, we have a problem, and somebody has looked at it, and this one seems to be a something that's really difficult." And I'll look at it the next day, and I'll come back the following day, and it says, "Oh, why don't you go test it? I fixed it last night." I'm a genius. No, so I used to do that, and I was just doing it, as Overseer said, coming from Jamaica within our culture. In Jamaica, nobody was afraid to tell you what their score on the math test was. And if you score 60 or even 80, they will laugh at you, man. So you have to do your due diligence, because if somebody come and say, "How much did you get?" and you were quiet, that means that you're gonna you want to pop out your stuff and say da 99 in your face, something like that, right? So come up with that culture. I come up with that same attitude went to work.
Right.
It was about 25 years later, after me working, because I worked for Bell Labs for about 30 years. I went back to the same department, and there was a white lady there. And she said, "Paul, I didn't, after working with me over for a couple months," she said, "I got to say something to you." I said, "What?" She said, "You used to tick me off so bad. I hated you because you walk around as if you were the smartest thing in the development group." You from, so
Yeah.
I'm saying, as Overseer said, yes, it's true. You may do some things, and it may not, and you may not know, but of course, whether you do it or not, it affects it affects of the people that you work with. All right, sir. Yeah. Pull up those questions. Let's get those questions going.
Definitely, and I want to add to Joe. His. Hey, Joe, I hope that you said something, or I hope you sued. I hope you did something, because if you didn't do anything, you just perpetuated the situation. You didn't help us get this across, and you weren't treated correctly. Okay, so this one's from Deborah Johnson. Deborah Johnson is a relative of you-know-who. Shouldn't we as Christians show people who discriminate our light by smiling and saying thank you when they look through our cards? Talking to you. How did you make your Christian life die on that movie? I'm sister. I know she's ragging you because she does the same thing probably. I know my sister, and she probably does the same thing. Be like, I'm not saying nothing to this person. The person count my thing. So I believe Deborah Johnson. That's what I believe. I don't know what Bishop's going to say that. You just say anything? Okay. Next one. So tap it says, yes, because you are a professional. Your job is to listen to your patient. I can't go into my classroom and judge whether my children will learn or not just based on color or ethnicity. Well, I'm not saying that they are making a judgment whether we can take more pain. What they've been trained to do is say, that we can make more pain. I will give you an example, Miss Tappanese, Sister Tappanese, Mr. Tappanese. I'm going to give you an example. I played soccer pretty much all my life. When I was a sophomore in high school, I wanted to go play football because I was pretty good at football. So I said, you know what? I'm going to stop playing the footy of soccer, American soccer, and go play American style football. So I went out and tried for the football team. This was not because Rupert was black. This is because Rupert started to play football. He got hurt on the football field. I mean, my ankle was twisted. I went to the trainer and I said, my ankle is burning. Can you help me? He said, Rupert, go back out there. You're playing football. You're gonna go play through pain. Get out there. Went back out there. The next drill we did, my ankle got stuck in the ground and blew up. I said, I'm done with football. I literally took my helmet off, threw it down, took my shoulder pads off, threw them down, limped to the soccer field and said to the soccer coach, my ankle hurts. I want to play soccer. He said, cool. The next day, I went into the same trainer and said, I want my ankle wrapped. He said, you playing football? No, I'm playing soccer. Oh, okay. And he wrapped my ankle. No questions asked. That was discrimination between what the pain a football player is supposed to take and the pain a soccer player is supposed to take. So again, it wasn't the fact that he said he judged me on my pain level. What he did was he judged me based on what he was trained to do. So I'm saying that it's not about a judgment call. Sometimes we are trained to act a certain way with certain individuals or certain professionals in certain ways, and that happens. Is it right? No.
Overseer. The thing is, if he does the same thing to the white guy, I ain't got a problem with you. But if the white guy came to you and he said that his foot is hurting, and then he's don't tell him, oh, go to the doctor, I got a problem with that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just know from soccer to football, when I was a football player, didn't wrap it. Right. So the next day, when I came back as a soccer player, it was wrapped. But again, there's more to it. Now,
okay.
Sister Kellerman says, that is correct. As a nurse, it's a fact. Sometimes not getting maternity care, lack of medical insurance, and sometimes negligence by the medical community. I said that's different. So she's talking about the nurses with black women in nursing care, and that is a different story too, because that is basically when you come in for emergency care, they should test you and do everything the same. And I don't care. For me, for training, that's not training. That is straight up, you're looking at a person and you're not doing the right thing by that person.
Right.
Because it's an emergency. If a person comes in there stabbed, you best be doing the same exact thing for that person. Exactly. That's not, I don't care how you were trained, it's a stabbing. And you should do the exact same thing for that person. If a woman comes in as pregnant, you should do the exact same thing for that person, because they're coming in. You don't have enough time to make a diagnosis or a judgment call. You should be doing the exact same steps for that person because you don't have enough time because they're coming in. Now, again, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that I believe that you cannot blame a person for being trained and being inefficient. You have to blame the system in which trained them.
And I'm saying is, if they're doing the same thing for black, white, pink, blue, whatever it is, I don't have a problem with it. The problem that I have, and what I'm saying, is if you do it differently because the person is black, I have a problem. And I'm saying because that is done so often to black people, it ends up that black people have more high blood pressure, more diabetes, more mental health, because it's this system, what is called systematic racism, systemic racism is an issue. And that's what I'm driving. And I want to say to our listening audience, just be aware and be aware of it, because if you're aware of it, then you should not, it will not affect you as much as if you think that you're supposed to be treated the same way. As if you think that that type of treatment is okay. And I'm saying it's not. Just be aware of it, observe it, see it for what it is, and then make a decision. And the decision that you make should not be one that causes you any stress, any diabetes issue, or any mental health. That's the point I'm saying. When you see it, for example, when I see those Costco people gotta stop and count my few little items and let those white folks go in with cart full of items, I observe it, I see it for what it is, and I made a decision. Like Elder Johnson says, you can say, have a good day and all you want. That one went over my head.
Yeah. We'll ask Jesus if he goes over his head too. We'll find out from Jesus what he says later on. But again, I say this: we do not solve the problem by walking by or ignoring it. Why don't we go to management and say, "Hey, I was just in line. The person in front of me had 60 items. They never got counted. I had 6. They were counted."
Overseer, management, support management.
Bishop. But, this is the first time we actually ever disagreed.
I think on the show. Yeah, Ken is timing it. Okay, there we go.
Here's Ken Walsh. You cannot fix a problem by just saying my stance is I'm not going to be pleasant, or my stance is I'm not going to say. The only way to fix a problem is to speak to it and speak to those. Now, nothing may happen, but if every single one of us step up and say, this happens at Costco all the time, we say something, and then you know what? We start saying, we're not going to go to Costco anymore.
No, overseer, it doesn't happen all the time. If it happens all the time, I wouldn't be going to Costco. Period. It's just there's usually a couple bad apples in the bunch. That's usually what it
those bad apples need to be found out, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to Ken. Let's go back to Ken. Ken said racism is learned behavior training. Is POC. What is that POC again? I don't know POC means. Just see the result as it is. Just see the result of it in all aspects of life.
POC. People of color. No. Wait a minute. Wait. Let me pause on this. Ken, I got a problem with this people of color. Who are people of color? Everybody got color. White is a color.
Yeah, but he
white is a color. Isn't white a color?
Yeah. Well, the white is a lack of color. I think it is, right? That white is black is all the
white. What is it still a color? Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
But we're getting a lot of comments coming in, man. We don't have time for all these comments. We have a lot of just be people of color. POC us. I just said that. So Ken, I don't know why I took it down. Let's bring Ken's back up. Racism is learned. Behavior training, people call it, just see the result of it in all aspects. So we just say, I think what he's saying is that we deal with the results, right? So whether you're trained or not trained, whether it's a behavior or you're trained, unfortunately, we have to live with the results. And I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Unfortunately, we have to live with the results. But my statement still goes back to, I can't beat up okay, so let's put it this way. I don't know if anybody saw this, but there was a gentleman, I forget his name. He used to hang out with the dragon, which is the head guy of the KKK. He met this guy in a motel one day. It's a great story. In a motel one day, sat down with the guy. Didn't know he was black when he came. Finally, he was black. They ended up having a relationship. A friendly, where the black guy would go to KKK meetings. After a while, that Grand Dragon left the KKK after hanging out with this black man for many years, because he found out that what he was taught about black people was not accurate. This man showed him it was not accurate. How did he show him about it? He showed him what a real person that he was. Now, there are black people who got mad at the black man for hanging out with this KKK guy, would ultimately someday revert. Why were they mad? Because they said, you are supporting what they're doing by being there. No, what he was showing them that a black man has more class than he thinks, because we're able to stand in the midst of adversity and still be who we are and be unapologetic. That's what he did. But black people didn't see that. That's why I'm saying sometimes you have to call out what goes on. Whether it's a good trait or a bad trait, call it out. That's what I'm saying. Okay, let's go back to that's what I'm saying, Bishop. So let's go back. Tapanese, again, Tapanese is a millennial, so she's got a lot to say. Millennials always have a lot to say about these topics. Tapanese is a millennial. So during the pandemic, I went to my doctor because I was suffering panic attacks and high anxiety returning to school with lack of resources. I was dismissed. I know for a fact that it was racial. She says she knows for a fact it was racial because she was being dismissed. I cannot argue it because I was not there.
But I would say though, you say you because maybe the white teachers was treated more favorable than she's, so therefore it's you can actually make those determinations. I'm saying, Tafanese, see it for what it is, but don't internalize it, because those small indifferences is what ends up causing blood pressure, diabetes among us African American people. All right.
And I'm saying, Japanese, go complain to your doctor that should never happen, or to the medical board, because he can lose his license, which he should if he really did it for that purpose, if he did the right reason. I call for this discrimination. I tell directly right then and there. So Sister Kelvin will say, you are being discriminatory. I know Sister Kelvin, little short lady, little thin lady. So, those ladies have no fear. They have no fear. They're like these. So I'm sure she does. I'm sure she does. Okay. Tabbies, especially because I know other races receive Xanax prescriptions with a quickness. Yes, they receive Xanax prescriptions with a quickness. Yes, but I'm glad that you're not using Xanax, because I want you to use Jesus. No, just joking. You see people of color. Do we have more? This is helping me. Yes, Joe, I'm glad Joe wrote, this is helping me. Good, Joe. Joe did right there in a comment I saw. He said, I'm a black man. Joe, I know you're a black man. I know you, bro.
Joe, I'm glad you said it, because I was trying to think whether or not if he was really black.
Where is it? Let me find it where he wrote. Look at this. Joe, I am black. Joe, I know you're black, Joe. I don't believe you said I know.
Joe Stella, he's black overseer because he thinks that you're white.
No, Joe knows me. Joe knows who I am. Joe, man, I'm like, listen, Georgia. It's a Joe from Georgia talking about. Okay. Let me see. Japanese, we can training as an excuse. Education in America is not for the people of color, but we have attended degrees. We have attained the degrees and have learned and educated ourselves on how to be successful, not just for us, but all. Again, this Japanese, I am not using an excuse. I am saying, I don't care if they're trained by it. I don't care if that's what they do. What I'm saying is, do we just blame the person for the way they were trained, or do we blame the training? How come? Okay, let me give a point. When everybody was mad at the police, they said the police need to be trained differently because they're not trained correctly. I said, I agree. If a black police officer or a white police officer is being trained to deal with people of color differently than people that are not color, white persuasion, then they need to be trained that people are people. How come we can say for the police, they need to be trained differently, but for doctors, they need to be trained differently? I say, if the training is bad, you have to go to the source, because that's what will happen no matter what we talk about. If they still train you the same way, you're still going to deal with it no matter how many times you talk about it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying if they were trained that way and they do it, it's a good thing. I'm saying I don't know if I can blame the person directly, but I can surely blame the people who train them, because training.
So in other words, let me see if I can help what Overseer. He's saying it's systemic. So if this is systemic, and the people are trained that way, that's it. So the question is how then to deal with the systemic racism that caused these behaviors to come down, that trickle down to folks. Wonderful. I'm with Overseer in that. The point that I am making on the show tonight is simply this. I want folks to recognize that these things are happening and you need to be aware of them. You know they're happening, but you need to be aware of them, and your awareness should should enable you to make a decision how you want to behave.
Yes.
And how to respond. Because if you don't are making that direct decision how to respond, what is happening is creating stress in your life, and stress and these things that are in your life is what cause these to deteriorate your health. So you need to be aware of them, see it for what it is, and if you get a chance where you can poke it back, turn it around, as Overseer is saying, do that. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But just recognize that these things are there, and if you are not responding appropriately, it can affect your health.
Yeah, and that I agree with. I think that, we have to be aware of that. I think that's 100% accurate. I agree with you. We have to be aware, and we have to make decisions being aware on what we're going to do, how we're going to handle it, how we're going to go forward. Ken, we're running close on time. We did miss a question from Michelle. We don't want to miss Michelle. She's a long time contributor of ours. There's no difference between the doctor who was trained wrong or the system that trained him. Doctor's still going to turn Sister T away, and it affects her health. Again, I agree. I'm not going to say any more than that. I said it 3 times already. What I said, I'm not going to say any more. So let me bring him.
Where's Michelle? Yeah, there's Michelle. Okay.
So my husband said we choose to eat 5 pounds of flour, pork fried rice, while they choose to eat 1 pound of vegetables. let me turn my hand around.
What does Michelle mean by that?
You know what she means by that? We know what Michelle means by that. Says he eats a pound of vegetables while we eat some soul food. 5 pounds of floured pork fried rice. Well, see, so here's the thing, though, because I can go this route. If they know we eat bad, we should be treated better because we eat bad. So why is it that we eat bad and we get treated bad? So that's my thing. So that would be my response. Because they treat us bad, so they can eat, so we can eat bad, and when we eat bad, they make more money off us. Right? So that's not a fair statement. And trust me, I know a lot of white folk who do not eat vegetables. Eat a lot of. Okay, for instance, just watch the show 600 pounds. What is that? 600 pounds and over, whatever that show is. There's not many black people on that show, but there's sure enough. There's a lot of heavy folk up there, 600 pounds over. But okay, so we are about 30 seconds out. Hey, black in my 20s before I knew better. Okay, you took this up. Have chicken, pork, fried rice with jam, but now I know better. I eat veggies. So Ken says he changed his diet. We all end up changing our diet. I've not changed my diet yet. You have changed yours. You are more vegetarian, but you do eat some fish. I still eat all of the bad food that I could, because the Bible says it is appointed once for a man to die, and then the judgment. So if I have one appointment, no matter what I eat, I am going to have that appointment, and I'm going to enjoy my food until that appointment. That's what I say.
I want to say we thank you so much for joining us today. This was a lively discussion. I hope that we have a very I made you aware or raise your level of interest on the subject matter. Our health as a people is very important, and we need to be aware of the different things that actually cause our health to deteriorate. Overseer, I know we're over time, but why don't you just take those 2 comments, so that, because these are some great folks of ours, and we want to make sure that they feel that we recognize them.
No, Joe was just saying that he has some major health issues after not being helped, and that's the sad part.
Right.
That's the part that affects me the most, is that regardless of whether it's training, regardless if it's on purpose, we are affected. We lose and we suffer. And then when we take it to the higher levels of court, they don't give us a victory because they try to find some negligence on our part, or it was too late, or something stupid. So I hope that, Joe, that you're my brother, so we're praying for you, but I hope even more so that you get the justice you deserve because of what went down. So
we have Kathleen said one more, so let's take that one and let's go. Yeah.
I think it's impossible to change an entire system in government that doesn't want to recognize a problem. That's why I think it has to be face to face. You can answer that one, Bishop.
Beautiful. All right, again, thank you, Overseer. I think this was beautiful. I hope.
But Bishop, before you close, what we got to do, because I think it was just a powerful discussion. There's so much more. We're not experts, right? We're not experts. So why don't we do this in a couple weeks? Let's bring an expert on. Let's bring a doctor or a psychologist on to talk more about this subject. So let's do that. Let's try to find somebody who we can bring on that can talk the educational side of this, because we can only talk about our opinion, but there is numbers, there is statistics that talk about this, and we need to talk about it. So that's are you agree?
I agree. But also, to our guests, if you know somebody that can address this in a powerful way, and please let us know, and we'll try and get them on the show so that they can actually address this issue as well. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Joe said he got somebody. All right, so
hit me up, Joe.
Reach out to us.
Me, Joe.
Yeah, yes. I hope he has your number. Yes.
Yeah, he has my number. He already texted me already. So text me, Joe. All right.
Great. All right, Overseer, take us away.
Hey, love you all. Thank you so much for joining us for another Bad Man Show. We can't wait to see you again. Next week, we're going to see you right here, 7:15, Bad Man Show. Same time, same place, same channel. God bless you. Love you all. Don't forget.
And God loves you. All right. God bless you.
God bless you.
Us again, B to the A to the D to the M. So sing hallelujah, revive us again. It's B to the A to the D to the M. So sing hallelujah, revive us again. B to the A to the D to the M. Like a